like there has to be some melding of the two plans, even though they weren't like mutually derived together. I know there were two different plans because he had to change because of what happened with Eli and all this stuff and the rest of the team around them. But that doesn't mean that just because you had a plan when you drafted Saquon, that plan, fell through the cracks. And so you went with the new plan of drafting your future franchise quarterback. Well, now you got to try to you can't use up this guy before, because let's be real. It's going to take Daniel Jones probably to his third or fourth year. And if you don't do stuff to help, you're going to end up like what the LA Rams are. You got a highly paid running back that's got degenerative knees and they're on a pitch count, and they're losing games because their entire offense is designed around that guy being the bell cow, and he can't do it because of, they used him up before they had a franchise quarterback.
Yeah, I agree. I think the reason he wasn't shut down is because Pat Shermer's coaching for his life. I think this is Pat Shermer's last shot at being a coach, so he's going to play his best players, fortunately or unfortunately. Yep. But I agree with you. I think you can't.
I'm talking. This has to come from Gettleman, man. At some point, Gettleman's got to be like, hey, it's my ass on the line. I'm probably going to get rid of you. I'm not going to use up the guy that I said was a first ballot Hall of Fame. Because really, Gettleman tied his name to that pick. People thought that, as much as they thought, you remember this, I know you do, as much as they thought that Daniel Jones and laughed at it, they absolutely thought it was stupid to draft Saquon Barkley with the second overall pick. I thought there was far more vitriol for that pick over the stupidity. It was just pure hatred, not laughter. They were telling him he was just pure stupid. He was never going to work out. He was going to pay in hell for that, where they just kind of joked about the Daniel Jones pick. They really got on and question his actual football acumen with going with Saquon Barkley 2 overall.
Yeah, the New York media was brutal, and then the Jets media was brutal because they were laughing about it because they got Sam Darnold. I think it should come from Gettleman. I think I hear what you're saying, but Gettleman's also giving Shermer enough rope to hang himself, and Gettleman will not go with Shermer this year. If they make a coaching change, it does not mean they're making a change at GM. I think Gettleman has one more year. If they don't win another game, or if they go 3-13, I think Gettleman will get one more year to get this right, to get the right coach. And then look, you're going to have, 8 or 9 draft picks. You're going to have 60 to 90 million in cap space. So they'll give him one more year to fix this.
Who would you want as an ideal head coach replacement with Shermer gone? I mean, I know I got an idea who I want for the Giants, but I don't know who you think you would want.
I mean, I'll tell you who I'd want to interview. I want to interview Mike McCarthy. I want to interview Schwartz, the defensive coordinator of the Eagles. And I know that seems like a weird one, but sometimes
it isn't. I like that.
He's a defensive mind. I also I know we went the offensive coordinator route with Shermer from the Vikings, but I want to interview Stefanski. He's doing great things with a guy who I think is not good, and I think you will overtake them eventually for the division in Kirk Cousins. So I like to see guys who are doing a lot with a little. I think Stefanski can be like Frank Reich. And, I at least want to see those guys. I'm not sure about college. Everybody says Matt Rule. I know somebody very well who played for him at Temple. He liked him. But I don't know if he's ready to leave Baylor. And I don't know about college coaches enough. But I'd like to see some of those guys interviewed. And if you ask me about GM, it's Louis Riddick. You interview Louis Riddick, and you interviewed him last time. This time you bring him in and you hire him if you're going to replace Gettleman.
Look, honest to God, I think Louis
Jay was about to jump out of his chair on that.
Because I swear to God, I feel so bad that he has got tied to a contract where you can clearly tell on TV he is uncomfortable with what they are making him say.
Yeah.
I have so much respect for him. I know when Louis Riddick is talking to me as the Louis Riddick who has the vast knowledge of football that I love to hear, and I can clearly see it in his body language. When there's something on that teleprompter, he is being forced to put out, and I feel terrible for him. I wish somebody would hire him so that I just could watch the more and more uncomfortable moments of Louis Riddick on live national TV saying shit I know he does not believe. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I know it might be a hot take, but, dude, I don't know if you agree with me or not.
No, I hear what you're saying. I just when the Giants pick their GMs, they always say they need to have giant ties, which I can't stand. I mean, George Young in '79 didn't have giant ties. He turned the whole organization around. So I would just like to see someone like that come in from the outside and fix this thing. So if you're going to move Gettleman and move on from Gettleman, I don't need to see somebody who's been with the organization for 30 years or was a scout back in 1979 and married a Mara. I just
Here's
need somebody to come in and fix it.
What if Gettleman stays there and he interviews him and convinces him to be a coach?
Who, Riddick?
Yeah.
Who are you talking about?
Louis Riddick.
Yeah, I mean, or someone in the organization. Yeah, that's. I mean, because then it could, he would have his knowledge, roster building, kind of to work with Gettleman.
Hey, listen,
hey man, I'm all for it. I'm up for anything at this point. I'm up for to get him in the organization. Like, it's a good suggestion. If you want to bring him in as a ball boy for now, just to kind of give him some rogue position until you promote him, do it. I don't care.
I just feel like he's so damn smart. He should not be sitting in a chair in a situation where he's not. His football knowledge is just it's being just hidden, and he's not. They're not even letting him use
dialed
it.
in. Yeah, he is dialed in, man. He needs to be running an organization.
Well, I've got 3 candidates that I like for the Giants head coaching job. And I mean, I don't know if you agree with me on this, but my first one being quarterback guru. It's a college coach, and I think if we're offered the right amount of money, he might come out and the opportunity. Lincoln Riley from Oklahoma.
I mean, how could you not? How could you not? Because look at the guys at Oklahoma and what they've done. Sure,
2 Heisman back-to-back QBs. I mean,
yeah, and maybe a third. Who knows?
And then also my next one is Mr. Robert Saleh for the 49ers defensive coordinator. He's getting talked up a lot. Yep. And if you can bring back some prowess to that defense for New York, I think would be a big part of it.
Yeah, and I think when you bring a guy like that in, you has to coincide with bringing in a guy like Chase Young. Like, you need somebody to build around, and you need like a mad scientist on defense and say, we're building around you, like kind of they did with Bosa. So that's a good point.
My last one is kind of an older coach, but what I've seen him do with his team now, Mr. Greg Roman for the Baltimore Ravens. He's taken a young QB in Lamar Jackson, put a scheme around the player of the center of that offense, and has made it click like that. And Jones, like Jay said, has the foundation and the basics to work on that with. And if you put an offensive line there with him with the skill players, he can definitely produce.
Yeah, as long as you guys didn't say the words Jason Garrett, I'm up to listen to anything.
God,
so.
no.
Oh my God. How the hell did he ever get a head coaching job? And secondly,
rumor that came out.
Oh my God, like that! I laughed when I heard that. I said, because you know what? If you could not have 2 things that would not ever mesh, like oil and water, it's Dave Gettleman and Coach Clapp. I think at some point Gettleman would come down from the booth and choke Jason Garrett on live national TV.
Yeah, and I mean, and he's got to be creating that from his camp. So I don't know where that came from, and there's no way John Mara and Tisch and Gettleman could sell that to the fan base. There would be a riot.
Oh, that made me puke in my mouth when I heard that. That was football stupidity at its top tier right there, honestly.
Yep.
He is never
100%.
Coaching again if he's not in Dallas. Like,
nope,
what the hell has he ever done? Like, tell me what Jason Garrett does that makes him a great coach, a great offensive coordinator, a great quarterback coach, a great ball boy. I can sit and wait. If I held my breath, I would pass out and die before somebody gave me a legitimate answer.
In Dallas, he had a couple good wins, and that's got him under Jerry's wing, and it always will be that way.
No, he's Jerry's adopted son, period. It's nepotism, period. Like, that's the only answer you can tell me that I will accept and not think that you're full of shit.
Well, gee, I can see you're happy today.
Jerry, this is just me, Jerry. I'm not mad. I'm just
that's all good.
I call it as it is. I mean, come on.
No one's gonna get mad that you're talking about no one's gonna get mad when you're talking about the Cowboys.
No, God, no. We trash them on here all the time. I have another guy on the Ravens, the defensive coordinator, Don Wink Martindale. I think he literally lost. He's a Darius Smith, oh God, number T Sizzle for Baltimore Ravens. He left. Then
Mosley.
you had you lost a ton of players. Yeah, C.J. Mosley, you lost your safety back there. You lost almost all your core players in your defense, and he's still producing a top 15 defense on the field for Baltimore to be able to go out and have their offense. I mean, it's clicking, but you can tell it hasn't really caught its stride to the point where they want it. But I mean, you got to think he lost all those core players, and he's still producing that. I mean, you got to think if you can come into New York and you get Jabril Peppers back healthy next year, and you get Golden re-signed, you go get Chase Young. There's some possibilities there that can really look good.
Yeah, and I like guys who can adjust to people leaving or injuries,
Yep.
and it just seems like we kind of fall back on, well, that guy's hurt, so we're screwed. No, that's not the NFL. Everybody gets hurt, and it's the coaches. The coaches who adjust to that are the ones that are successful. So I just want it to be a real search this time, not just two guys. And I think we interviewed McDaniels, Patricia, and Shermer, and said Shermer's an adult. Let's hire him. Let's interview 6 or 7, please.
Oh God, Jerry, you're amazing. We love you. So
Thanks,
hire the adult in the room. That makes sense. What do you think?
What
the monkey eating the peanut butter in the corner.
That's McDaniels.
That's what Gettleman said. Gettleman said he was the adult in the room. I said, oh, okay, cool. All right.
Speaking of which, I don't know why he was tied to so many teams this year, especially the Packers. Josh McDaniels is never going to be a solid head coach again. He's going to be a coordinator for the rest of his life. And Jay brought up a good point. He thinks he was brought back to New England. He said this way earlier in the year. He thinks he was brought back to New England to take over for Bill when he leaves, because why would he get brought back and overpaid way much as an offensive coordinator?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know where he could end up. My ultimate doomsday scenario. My ultimate doomsday scenario for the Patriots is they play the 49ers in the Super Bowl. Jimmy G beats them. Bill Belichick gets really mad, and then he comes back to the Giants. But I mean, look, that's. I may as well just play.
I mean, hey, it could happen. Get a little Renaissance man in him.
But
okay,
that's my.
Now, see, I do not like that scenario. I don't.
You don't
because
want Belichick
it's not
in the
the
NFC?
Packers. God, Jay.
I don't like that scenario. I don't like the words that just came out of your mouth, Jerry. Shame on you.
Nice.
We're not allowed to say anything about the Super Bowl and Packers anyway, Jay, after what the 49ers just
I
did
didn't
to us.
say that. I just said I didn't like the words that came out of his mouth. I didn't utter anything about what you were just saying. Why don't you just stop with that now?
Next question, Jerry. So the weather is looking like a really big mix of snow and rain and freezing rain, and now I just looked a minute ago. It's looking like 1 to 3 inches of snow, which it's not really an advantage to either team because they're both cold weather teams. I mean, do you think it's going to get thrown at all, especially this freezing rain type conditions?
Well, Daniel Jones played at Duke, so he's not really a cold weather quarterback yet. So this is a huge advantage for Green Bay, I think. I mean, usually
nice, okay?
Yeah, usually snow and rain's like the great equalizer, but I just think this plays right into Aaron Rodgers' hands, and the Giants are they're so overmatched in this game in every way, shape, and form. I just think I think it's an advantage for the Packers.
Well, you know what though? I think they might. The thing is, one thing that's killed Green Bay all year, it's the run defense. It's always been the daring teams to run, and Saquon Barkley has been, I feel like, ready to break out, and I feel like it might be this game because, I mean, that's the thing. He can have a huge game and still the Giants lose. I've seen that 1,000 times with other running backs like Adrian Peterson. Like Adrian Peterson can put up 14, 21 points on the board, and the Vikings still get blown out by 10 to 15 points because of the fact of, I mean, one team's using passing, the other one's using running, but like you just mentioned it, Daniel Jones, he's a Southern boy, and that might be an advantage. I didn't look at it like that, but that point brings it up.
Here, Jerry, how about this? Is Daniel Jones and Pat Shurmur capable of running more of an up-tempo